There, Sandy was commissioned with reminding me to hit record.
Hi, Molly.
It's so good to see you all again, and especially to welcome back Haleh. I've been thinking and thinking about your messages that you left us with the last time, just so incredibly moved by it all. And as I was telling Haleh, a number of people who were there and who watched the session afterwards have been emailing me to tell me they went out and got their copy of the first volume, and have been pouring through it and just enjoying these treasures. So before Haleh leads us in this session, I just wanted to take a minute to remind everyone that today, in a very timely moment, begins the week of prayer for world peace. And as I have been sharing with those of you who follow alignment mailings and on social media, we have had the wonderful honor and alignment to collaborate with the Week of Prayer for World Peace and with the Iona community to put together the digital resources for this week. It has been such an honor pulling together these prayers from 8 faith leaders from around the world. And today, our very own Hazan Harold led us in prayer for day 1. So if you have not found those resources or begun the week of prayer, now is the time after this session. I'll put the links, or Molly or someone will put the links in the chat. And Harold's words could not have been more moving today, of his message of the whole world in all its entirety is a narrow bridge. And the most essential thing to remember is that fear not overwhelm us. I have been chanting those words all day and playing his video over and over again. So I do hope that you are engaging in the week of prayer for world peace. And so honored to have Haleh return on this special night that we begin the week of prayer. So welcome back to you, Haleh, and thank you for leading us tonight.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you. Thanks everyone who's here with us, and um, I'm happy and honored to be here. And I was just telling Margaret that I was in Konya, Turkey, for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I went to Maulana Rumi's grave site and stood there. And one thing that really overcame me was I felt this poet's love for humanity so strongly, and his care for humanity, and his intention, and also Shams of Tabriz, his good pal, who said, we are the ones who make gardens from battlegrounds. We make gardens out of prisons. We make gardens out of battlegrounds. Imagine what our gardens will look like, he said. But this desire to bring beauty into the world, to notice beauty, to hold the beauty that's in the world, to feel the reverence for it, to allow ourselves to feel the awe. And there's a line that's in the new book that I'm working on now where he says, at first love is awe. Like the first stage of love is awe. And I think that was an interesting uh, thought on love. And of course, there's many different kinds of love, but this idea that we can be in a state of wonder, and to invite ourselves to be in a state of wonder is really important. And I know also Rachel Carson, the wonderful environmentalist, said, in something along the lines, I don't remember the exact quote, but in the presence of awe, there's the will to destroy seems to fade out, because we're in this state of reverence and the state of awe, the state of wonder. So I just really want to honor that sensation and invite us to allow ourselves, even in this difficult time, to open to awe, to even teach awe. I feel like my father taught me awe sitting on the edge of a pond. He would look out at the pond and say, bah, bah, And in Persian, bah, bah, bah means, oh, how beautiful, how beautiful, how beautiful. So just praising, there's a power to praise that's important. So I thought Margaret invited me to do a little bit of chanting, singing. So I'm going to just start with one chant that I often open with. This is Maulana Rumi, and it's the opening poem in here, and you'll hear it in Persian, or a segment of it in Persian. آب حیات عشق را در رگ ما روان کن، روان کن، روان کن. آینه صبور را ترجمه شبانه کن، شبانه کن، ترجمه شبانه کن. ده به کفم یگانگی، تفرقه را یگانه کن. آب حیات عشق را در رگ ما روان کن، روان کن، روان کن. Let love, the water of life, flow through our veins. در رگ ما روان کن. Let love, the water of life, flow through our veins. Let a love-drunk mirror steeped in the wine of dawn translate night. You who pour the wine, put the cup of oneness in my hand and let me drink from it until I can't imagine separation. Love, you are the archer, my mind is your prey. Carry my heart and make my existence your bullseye. He said, I don't remember if I read this one last night, but I remember Margaret referred to it. So in honor of your reference, I'm going to read the poem on page 70. He says, come out, come close. Why hide? Why deceive? Chon to many, man toam. Chan toyo many. You are me and I am you. Why get mired in all these me's versus you's? And of course, we are obviously separate beings, but on some dimension, right? He's speaking of that dimension of the soul in which we are all interconnected, connected. And of course, we are all interconnected in a very practical way as well. Our existence and what we do in this world impacts each other deeply. And he says, come out, come close. Why hide? Why deceive? You are me and I am you. Why get mired in me's and you's? We are light upon light, and the glass light passes through. Why muddy ourselves with a grudge? Together we are whole and complete. Why see through eyes that split one in two? Why do the rich look down on the poor? Why does the right hand scorn the left? Both are from one body. Why call one vile and one blessed? One essence, one intelligence, thrust us into one curved cosmos, where the soul counts one, the mind insists on two. 5 senses, 6 directions, drop the lot, leap forth, let oneness draw you closer and draw you in. There you are a gold mine, not just a nugget of gold. There is one spirit in countless bodies, one oil in countless almonds, one meaning in countless words uttered by countless tongues. Shatter the jugs. The water is one. Steeped in union, the heart remembers a world beyond words. Soul, 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 send the news. I like the idea of the soul sending wordless news. You know, in a poem that I'm working on for the second volume, he talks about the practice of samma, which is both deep listening and also the whirling dance. So it's a very like sacred practice for him, very important practice for him. Deep listening and the whirling dance. And of course, you know, the first line of the Masnavi is Beshno, which means listen. And he says, listen to the nay. So listening to music was a big thing, very important to him as a practice. And it quiets the mind. And he said, you know, what is this sama? He says, in sama, the hidden corners of the heart send wordless messages to the exiled corners of the heart. The hidden corners of the heart send wordless messages to the exiled corners of the heart. He said, intelligence is a tree. In Sama, we hear the breeze blowing through the branches. We hear the branches bloom. And I think these two stanzas are very interesting. The idea of the heart healing the heart, the idea of the heart speaking to the broken places or the exiled places of the heart, that it's the heart that has this healing, wordless kind of message, endless messages for us, you know, and that sort of being a kind of, well, both, you know, the heart healing the broken heart within the being, and also then, you know, the dendrites of the brain, right? Branches are like branches of the tree. And he says, you know, intelligence is a tree. I mean, they didn't know about the way the dendrites look like branches of a tree back then, but I love that idea of how our intelligence, you know, branches, and when we learn things, it feels expansive, it feels like some kind of branching is happening. So he says intelligence is a tree, and in this practice of deep listening, we hear a breeze blow through the branches. We hear the branches bloom. He says, گر ساعتی ببری ز اندیشه ها چه باشد قوتی خوری چو ماهی از بحر ما چه باشد. If you quit thinking for 1 hour, or even he says, if you cut yourself off from thought for 1 hour, what will happen? If you plunge like a fish into love's ocean, what will happen? When worries keep you up at night, picture the 7 sleepers slumbering in a cave for centuries, resting in faith. You'll be filled with holy light no matter where you lay your head. Straw man, at the end of your straw world, there's a fragrant field of amber. If you leap from your high haystack and join us, what new heights will you reach? Again and again you vowed to be humble as soil. You broke your word every time. When you keep it, what will bloom? You are a gem, covered in mud and clay. Your beautiful face is hidden. You came down from the heavens. The high angel adores you, and still you feel like a poor wretch. If you remember who you are, what will you become? You seek truth, but don't trust a single truth teller. I know a true seer. Listen to him. See what happens. I think he's talking about Shams there. A fragment, a hand longing for its body. You dream of greatness, grandiose fantasies, gripped by greed, gripped by pride. Give yourself up. Give yourself over to glory. See what happens. You are a mountain full of gold. Open the mine. Let the mountain speak. Hear what happens. You know, he speaks a lot to the ego, gripped by greed, gripped by pride, you know, and this need for us to converse with this energy seems very apparent right now and always, you know, that a lot of times, obviously, the ones who take the reins and the ones who call the shots, and I say that pun intended when I say shots, are, you know, are the most egoic and often pettiest with the most love lust for dominion, and the most fear, and the most desire to protect their own selves, rather than actually caring about, the rest of the world. So in a way, like his poetry does speak to that energy, and I don't know how we as humanity can like hack this issue, or the paradox of, the megalomaniacal energy taking the reins and taking the reins and taking the reins, and plundering and pillaging and harassing and all this kind of stuff that we're dealing with now. The violence is devastating. But, this kind of dialogue with that, we have to start having it from nursery school on, you know, and figure out how to neutralize, that violent impulse, how to intervene with it anyway. He says, I saw myself sharp as a thorn. And, with all this that he advises us, there's always the confessions. I saw myself sharp as a thorn. I fled to the softness of petals. I saw myself sour as vinegar. I mixed myself with sugar. An aching eye seeing through pain, a stewing pot of poison. I was both. Reaching for the antidote, I touched compassion. I touched mercy. I was a cup holding only the dregs. I poured in the water of life. Raw and callow, I followed the ones already cooked by love's fire. In the dirt on love's path, in the mess of it all, right? In the dirt and in the beautiful soil of it all, in this grounded earth, in the dirt on the path of love, I found the medicine that ensouls sight. My armor thinned to a silken scrim. I sifted the soil that gives vision to the blind. Love said, yes, 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 you have arrived. Love said, yes, you have arrived. But don't think it's your doing. I am wind, you are fire. I stoke your flames. So always that, like the whirling spiral, the whirling dervish returning and returning and returning and returning in this circular motion and upward ascension, hopefully, as Margaret pointed out. There's a nice ladder behind me. So, but this returning to love and returning to love. And, the willingness to see the self and then to go back and to go back. And I want to share this poem. I don't think I shared this last time. This is on page 29. And this is a poem that, he's talking about he's like giving us this very dramatic ego death. And there's a turn in the middle of the poem where he moves into that awe that I was talking about. The word is heirat. Heirat means awe. And it was mistranslated as ignorance. It's not ignorance by another translator. It's awe is, heirat is awe, is this amazement. It can also be bewilderment, but it's not ignorance. It's a very wonderful state of mind. But he says, how could I have known? How could I have known this longing would drive me mad, light a roaring hellfire in my heart, make a river gush from my eyes? How could I have known a flood would snatch me up and toss me like a ship in a sea of blood? How could I have known a monstrous wave would rise up, crack the hull, fling the planks into the air, and drag me down to the ocean floor? How could I have known a whale would rear its head, gulp down the sea, and leave a desert behind? How could I have known the desert's cracked seams would gape like a mouth, sucking the whale down into bottomless depths? Now, turn after turn, now, there's no trace of whale, desert, sea, me. This is that obliteration that the Sufis often talk about. Turn after turn, now there's no trace of whale, desert, sea, me. How can I ask how? Every how drowned in an ocean of no how. Every what and why dissolved like salt on my lost tongue. Like every creed and school of thought, I was awestruck, struck dumb by the ocean's opium, by the beloved. by the beloved, flooding tangled groves of thought with light. What can I do but praise? Ocean of hidden pearls, black sea of stars, flowering fields of wide-eyed narcissus. I exhale, you expand. Shams comes from Tabriz with the key and the practice. Bitter, bitter turns sweet. We're so flushed with fire, we open like a rose. It's a beautiful poem. And I love the I exhale, you expand. I love the the relaxing into our reverence and our praise and just being there with it and having a long exhale every once in a while to get ourselves into a relaxed state of being. I mean, I wish that this could be the collective, where I wish that this was taught to us in nursery school. I wish this was taught to us in 5th grade, in 11th grade, in college, that we were reminded. I do feel like, humanity is a bell curve, and there's the sociopathic and there's the somewhat, and then there's also the saintly, I mean, there's all kinds of tendencies, right? And most of us are, somewhere here on this big bell curve, but the culture and our education and what we are consuming pushes the bell curve, either to the left, to the and I don't mean right and left by parties. I'm just saying, like, this axis that I made sense, but either moves us towards this way or that way, and we can be encouraged, we can be educated and cultured and into nonviolence and conflict resolution, and I really believe that deeply. I don't believe that the way that we run the world needs to be. I believe very much in world peace and the possibility of it. He says, cypress tree, you tunneled through darkness blind and blasted through the soil. What map was in your mind? Tell me, I'll follow. A flower steps out of its tight bud, gives its nectar, gives its gold. How do we do the same? Soft white stars of jasmine, sweet dizzying musk of jasmine. Where is your garden? I'll serve at the gate. Dear nightingale, I bow to your bright songs, never the same twice. Master of improvisation, perched in a tree. Flowers delight you, you delight us. How do we pass on the favor? How do we pass on the favor, Mother Nature? How? What abundance she gives us. And we imagine there's scarcity. He says in another poem, say scorpions, thorns, and snakes overrun the world. Even so, you are brimming with joy. Great. Where is your garden? Take us to the flowers. This is a very important poem on page 25. It's Ghazal number 2144. And it starts out, he says, whatever the ways of the world, what fruits do you bring? Whatever the ways of the world, what fruits do you bring? And this like invitation to, focus on what we can bring to the table, the ways of the world can be overwhelming and exhausting to process. But whatever the ways of the world, what fruits do you bring? Come back again. What is the action I can take? What is the offering I can make? What can I bring to the table? Whatever the ways of the world, what fruits do you bring? Say famine strikes, no bread or bowl of rice in the land. Royal in rank, royal heart, where is your hand? Where is your measuring cup and storehouse of grain? Say earth and sky fall to idolatry, all of us on our knees worshiping figurines. Where is the idol, noble and clever enough to break that spell? Very interesting. Where is the idol who's willing to break the spell of useless idolatry? Like, will Kim Kardashian come forward and say, can't feed people. We got to get this world together. You don't need to idolize me. I mean, it's very interesting, the idolatry. And of course, he was speaking too of the temple of idols that they had back then, and the actual figurines. But there's that resonance too to present day idols. Say, earth and sky fall to idolatry. All of us on our knees worshiping figurines. Where is the idol noble and clever enough to break the spell? Say, scorpions, thorns, and snakes overrun the world. Even so, you are brimming with joy. Where is your garden? Take us to the flowers. Miser's rule. Say, miser's rule. Generosity fades from memory. Still, your eyes see. Your heart is full. What wage will you pay? What clothes will you offer the stripped and bare? Sun and moon. Say, the sun and moon go down in hell's flames. What light will you shine? What fire will you light before we can't see, before we can't hear? Say, there's no mouth to utter love's secrets. Where are the silent translations surging from your heart? From your heart. Where are if there's no mouth to utter love, to utter love's secrets, to utter love's whatever, he said secrets, but to utter love's invitations, right? Say, there's no mouth to utter the essence of love. Where are the silent translations surging from your heart? Dear friend, dear friend, dear friend, imagine you are a jeweler. You have more wealth than you can count. What else would you do but rain down pearls? Come, all right, let's put this all aside. We are drunk on a lofty ale, and it's getting late. Where, my friend, is your tavern? Take us there. This brings me to tears. Actually, just now, it just brought me to tears. Where, my friend, is your tavern? Take us there. And the tavern, the word is charabat, which means it's sometimes translated too as a tavern of ruin. I don't know actually if you use charabat here. I might have just used what we would use for tavern, simply tavern. But the point is that in the Sufi philosophy, the tavern is the place where the love's wine is flowing. This is also like kind of considered a station on the path. It's the place where the I versus you is sort of like dissolves or is washed away in this wine of love. It's this place where we allow ourselves to meet intoxication, to feel, when he says, you have a jug of love's wine, that there is something internal in us. This love is intoxicating. When he says Jesus was drunk on God's love, his donkey was drunk on barley, right? So we can be drunk on lots of things, but the tavern is where we start to allow ourselves to feel a love that is within our beings and let ourselves get intoxicated from it a bit. And, he says, take us there. Whatever makes you ecstatic, take us there. Where is your tavern, dear friend? Take us there. So even in the times of distress, this is so important that we share our love and our joy and take each other to places of wellness and even celebration, while still being in solidarity with people who are suffering far away and hopefully helping them however we can. I don't know sometimes how we can, honestly, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, is an Instagram post helpful? I don't know. Sometimes I don't, it's like, it doesn't feel like that is really, but I know that it's
I think this is it in a small way.
yeah. Yeah.
Margaret, your voice is echoing.
I know, I don't know. Be quiet.
No, thank you. Yeah. They say there's a door between one heart and another. How can there be a door where no wall remains? And it's scary when he says, my armor thin to a silken scrim. How can there be a door where no wall remains? It's scary to allow these things to thin down, but it's where the exchange happens, the real heart exchange happens. He says, we exited the battleground. We exited the battleground in crooked valley of thorns. We shed our twisted delusions and from a heart-rending world of deception broke free. Greed stripped everyone bare. We knew its tricks, had played them ourselves. We broke into the store of greed and burned it down. This is the storehouse of greed within too, right? This is not like a we broke into the, he says dokan, which literally means store of greed, he says. But you know, what is that? You know, the habit of greed, you know, we broke into the store of greed. We tore it down. We burned it to the ground. Ocean waves. This is interesting. Ocean waves roared at our heels. Sounds like a climate change, but this was 800 years ago. Ocean waves roared at our heels. We escaped just in time and lay down to rest in a garden where good luck seeds the soil. We ride without horses. We soar without wine. No need for a jug or cup, and no debts to the wine cellar. We had spun round and round, making and breaking promises again and again. Under the eyelash of a new moon, we leapt off the wheel and landed on our feet. We practiced for 40 days, again and again. We reached new depths of love. We realized the one we seek is always where we are. We listened in silence. Love speaks in silence, not in the rote words of schools or the cries of the marketplace. Gold gathers in silence. No more words. Rising sun, you release us from the guards, the thieves, the nights within us and without. His answer to a lot of things was practice. What else can we do? We're human. We don't come with a manual. We don't know. It's not easy to do this life in bodies and have, you know, body and spirit, soul and heart and mind. And we need to, you know, I have this little poem where I say, if I remember, it's like mammals, mammals walking the earth with no fur. We need so many things to keep us warm. Thick socks, sweaters, four walls, a roof, an embrace, another embrace, another embrace, another embrace. Vulnerable babe, tender one, take cover and don't. There's an undying love, eager to wrap itself around you, eager to rise from within you. Let it.
I'm sorry if well, I'm not echoing anymore, but I was just going to invite everyone, as we have experienced this tonight.
Oh yeah, it's already 7:30.
Beautiful images. I know I could listen to this for hours, but I'm just wondering if everyone would just think for a minute about, as we prepare to leave here tonight and to walk through the week of prayer for world peace, are there particular images that are standing with you, sitting with you tonight from what Haleh has shared that you are going to carry with you? If you feel like popping anything into the chat, and just, I'm sitting here with the images of the heart healing the heart. And listening to the trees bloom, a wealth of images, the tavern, yeah, as Katie puts in the chat there, just a wealth of images that you have brought from his messages, and a powerful humility of destroying ego.
Yes.
Also of bringing us into communion with
Yes.
one another.
Yes.
Feels really powerful. Any other images anyone would like to share as we are preparing to say our huge Thank you to Haleh.
Oh, someone, let's see. Oh, yeah, I was vinegar and mixed myself with sugar. Yeah. And Larry said, pray for peace. What else can we do? Mhm.
The power and joy of feeling awe. Friends. Haleh, I do hope that when your second volume comes out, that you will come back and share with us again.
Oh,
It is
sure. Of
such
course.
a joy to hear you sharing this and how you express it and how you talk about it as well, in both languages. And just again, I want to reiterate, like, Rumi is opened up in new ways because of your beautiful translations. I think they are blossoming on the tree themselves.
Hmm.
So
Thank
grateful
you.
to you for sharing them with us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Truly, it's good to be together like this.
It is good to be together like this, and blessings on all of you as you walk, especially through this week of prayer for world peace. We hold you all, and thank you so much, Haleh.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you all for your messages. I'm reading them. They're touching my heart. Thank you. Mm.
Peace to you all.